the racing, the big one, the camping. It's all just bigger at Talladega. And with a doubleheader on Saturday and a cup race on Sunday, it's just gonna keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
But one thing for sure, it's always thrilling.
And as they go across the stripe, a photo finish!
NASCAR's biggest and baddest track is back. Yeah, boy. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Roll Tide and welcome to this Thursday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover starting the show today from our studios here in Tuscaloosa, but in just a few moments we'll also be heading out to the ballpark, Sewell Thomas Stadium. That'll be busy this upcoming weekend as Alabama hosts Mississippi State Thursday through Saturday, but we're at least going to start the show in our normal spot here at our CTSN studios as we'll go through everything coming up on the show and our headlines thanks to our friends at RJ Young. RJ Young is the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. They've given us this smart board to go through everything coming up on the show today, plus our headlines. We'll start by talking spring football with a couple of players from the Alabama Crimson Tide, as Darrian Dalcourt and Ja'Cory Brooks will give their thoughts on spring practice to this point. Then we'll head to Talladega. We're super excited for the Superspeedway to be back in action in a couple of weeks for the Geico 500 weekend, and the track president, Brian Crichton, will give us all the details of what's coming up and how you can plan your Talladega experience coming up in just a couple of weeks. As of course, we're proudly presented by NASCAR each and every week here on Crimson Drive. So a great interview with Brian coming up. And then we'll hear from Jim Jarvis of the Crimson Tide baseball team. The shortstop is a fan favorite, back for another season, wearing the Crimson and off to a really good start this year, not only with the glove like we've seen all throughout his time in Tuscaloosa, but especially at the plate. Jim Jarvis will talk about his changes that he's made this season. Then we'll take a look back to Monday night. Speaking of football, Jase McClellan will join us from Hey Coach. We got him literally right off the practice field to Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Had a great conversation with Jase, who looks to be one of the lead running backs for the Crimson Tide coming up this season. Taking a look at our headlines for today, we'll start with the Crimson Tide baseball team as Alabama last weekend went 1-2 at Arkansas. So far, 3 SEC weekends for the Crimson Tide. Alabama has gone 1-2 in all of them to this point. So you just know that something good is around the corner for this group. Saw that on Tuesday night with a 10-2 win against the Troy Trojans, as Alabama is now a perfect 9-0 in midweek games this year. And that's great to see, because last year, some midweek losses really hurt Alabama's chances at the postseason, but taking care of business in the midweeks this year. Great news for Colby Shelton. We'll hear about him and Jim Jarvis's thoughts on him coming up in a moment, but he has been named a midseason freshman All-American by Perfect Game Baseball, and now it's time for baseball this weekend against Mississippi State, as the schedule will be changing as we go along. Even already today, the game has been moved up to 5 p.m., and we could have a lot more updates coming up for the games on Friday and Saturday, but we do look forward to being home not only this weekend against Mississippi State, but planning ahead for next weekend, home on Tuesday against Southern Miss, and then Friday through Sunday against the Auburn Tigers. Definitely some good time at home for the Tide baseball team. Softball team was also on the road last weekend. Did pick up a series win at Missouri, so that was good to see. And now this weekend, home against South Carolina, as their ball game has been moved up not only on Thursday but also on Friday. And we look forward to seeing Montana Fouts return to the circle for the Crimson Tide. Great work against the Tigers last week. With that, she once again was named the SEC Pitcher of the Week. She's earned that a lot throughout her career, but also the D1 Softball Pitcher of the Week. Great honors for one of the best to ever pitch for the Crimson Tide, Montana Fouts. Coming up this week, it will be special. Coming up on Friday, it will be the Power of Pink, as softball will celebrate the Power of Pink coming up. And then Ashley Prenge's Senior Day, a bobblehead giveaway for the outstanding senior third baseman, coming up on Saturday for Alabama softball. Again, head to RolledTide.com. Follow us on social media for all the latest when it comes to baseball and softball schedules. A couple of other notes. Women's basketball, great to see Meg Newman transferring to Alabama from Arizona State. We hope to have her join us here on Crimson Drive in a few weeks. And then the men's golf team played very well at the Mossy Oak Collegiate, finishing in 6th place. So Rolled Tide to Jase Sewell and the men's golf team. Track and field, they're setting their alumni reunion for April 21st to the 22nd. What's going to be A-Day weekend, and a really great time coming up for everybody with track and field. And as we mentioned, A-Day only 16 days away. The day after that, the Geico 500 at Talladega Superspeedway. We have so many good things to look forward to here in Alabama. Starting with Tide football and starting with spring practice, earlier in the week, Ja'Cory Brooks, as well as Darrian Dalcourt, had a chance to meet with the media and give their impressions of spring camp to this point.
All of them got our wide receivers working hard. We competing very, very hard in practice. So like, it's tough out there for us, I can say. Really, it's pretty much the same thing that's been since I got here, becoming a leader and telling them guys how this receiver room work and how the offense work, and how to come in to work and become the best player you can be for the whole team. I've seen a lot of improvement from him. Also, both quarterbacks, they both competing and hard working, and they getting the job done.
Yeah, I think the main message from Coach Woodford is getting back to that intensity, that nastiness that we've always had as an offensive line. I think in his second year, he's gotten more comfortable. We got more comfortable with him. So it's about, learning from him learning from us, and, just trying to trust his word and do the best we can, bringing back that nastiness. I think I had a lot left on the table, both academically, football-wise, too. I'm getting my master's this semester, so that was a big part of it. And I feel like on the field, I missed a lot of time with injuries, so I think my main reason for that was I wanted to come back, have a healthy year, and then, try to become the best player I could be. I know the main message for us as an offense is, play disciplined football, cut down on penalties, become a disciplined team, don't shoot ourselves in the foot, stuff like that. But I know specifically for the offensive line is just, listen to what the coaching is and listen to Coach Wolf, take his word for it.
NASCAR's 75th anniversary season is officially here and the competition is heating up. Don't miss out on NASCAR's much anticipated return to Talladega Superspeedway for the Geico 500 on April 23rd. Experience the excitement of four-wide racing and acres of some of the best camping that NASCAR has to offer. Lock in your tickets today at TalladagaSuperspeedway.com. Glad to welcome you inside the broadcast booth here at Sewell Thomas Stadium, where later tonight it's Alabama starting a series with Mississippi State. We will have a booth cam available right back here on all the CTSN social media platforms. So with the game getting moved up to 5 o'clock, we knew we had the booth cam coming up, and I got to get ready. I got to get the scorebook ready to go for the ball game for Alabama and Mississippi State. Look forward to having the broadcast later on, but we're glad to continue our show, Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR here from Sewell Thomas Stadium. Speaking of NASCAR, earlier we had a chance to catch up with Brian Crichton. He's the track president of Talladega Superspeedway. They've been a great partner with us all season long here for Crimson Drive, and we're really excited that NASCAR is about to return to Talladega in 2 weeks. With more on that, we say hello and roll tide once again to Brian Crichton. Brian, roll tide. It's great to see you. How's everything going in Talladega, gearing up for what's going to be a really fun few weeks?
Yeah, Roger, thank you for having me on again, and thank you for the partnership that Talladega Superspeedway and the University of Alabama has. It's a great partnership, and we're looking forward to continuing it in the future. So, yeah, we're a couple short weeks away from the world coming to Talladega, Alabama, and it's a lot of fun. So we've actually got 40 students from the University of Alabama here today doing a little tour, and then also kind of finding out behind the scenes what all the different departments do here at Talladega. So the place is shaping up. The ticket sales are strong. Our infield's about sold out. So we're looking for another massive weekend here at Talladega.
Well, it all starts on Friday, April 21st, and in these next 2 weeks, what are the last touch-ups that you and your staff have to do to make sure you're ready to open those gates and welcome in the world?
Yeah, so timing's really, really important to us, as the University of Alabama knows as well with all of their venues. You can't clean it too early because then it all turns pollen will fall out on everything again. So we're doing all those final touches right now. We're going around cleaning, painting, just making sure this world-class facility is ready for the world to come back here to Talladega.
Well, we're really excited for what's coming up starting on Friday, April 21st. So what can you tell us about the weekend starting on Friday when the gates do open?
Yeah, so Friday, we're going to have some one-track activity in the afternoon. So we'll have a little bit of ARCA and Xfinity Series. And then Friday night, the big one on the boulevard is back at Talladega Superspeedway. So it really kicks off the party weekend. It's a Mardi Gras style parade that goes down Talladega Boulevard with drivers on the float. They're throwing out different things to the fans that are there. Music's playing. And then it stops and we have 4 different games that our infielders participate in. So it's quite the scene and quite the, it's great people watching, while you're there. So it really just kind of, it's our kickoff to the weekend party on that Friday night.
It really is a special party. And then on Saturday, you get to see some racing, starting with the ARCA Menard Series, then the Xfinity Series.
That's right. Yeah. So the General Tire 200 will kick the day off with the ARCA Menard Series. And then the Ag Pro 300 with the Xfinity Series is our night cap or afternoon cap for that day. We also have Cup qualifying on that day too. So it's a doubleheader of racing, but a triple header for all 3 series on track. And then that evening, our iconic infield will be rocking with Cole Swindell. So Cole Swindell's out here for a free concert. All you have to do is have a Sunday admission. You can show that to get into the infield and enjoy the Cole Swindell concert, as well as all the other festivities that happen on Talladega Boulevard and inside this iconic infield.
No, people will be looking forward to that. And then the main event, the Geico 500 at 2 o'clock Central. You got to be excited to see the next generation car back once again at Talladega, because it provided some thrilling racing last year.
It did, yeah. Not only here at Talladega, but also at Daytona, where they run the Superspeedway package, and then a few short weeks ago over at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So the next gen car with the new Superspeedway package has been just phenomenal racing. So we're looking forward to coming back. So Ross Chastain is our returning champion, and we're hearing kind of rumors that maybe Chase Elliott might be back before the Talladega Superspeedway, but that's just rumors right now. So we're kind of waiting for that official announcement to possibly come out in the next couple weeks.
Well, he certainly raced well there, looking back at last fall. So really great experience for all the fans that are making their way to Talladega. But I know one of the enhanced experiences is the garage experience. What can you tell us about that?
It is, yeah. Back in October of 2019, we debuted our brand new $50 million infield, and it's basically built around the garages, so it immerses the fan into that overall experience. So it's basically our version of putting fans into the locker room. They get to go under the same roof as the garages. They're only separated by about a 4-foot fence that's maybe 5 foot off the nose of the cars. So you get to see the drivers, you get to see the crew chiefs, you get to see the crews, and they interact with the fans that are there. We also have different destinations throughout the Talladega Garage experience. We have a kid zone, a game zone. We have the victory lane as part of that as well. So if you have that Talladega Garage admission, you can see and be part of all of the Victory Lane celebrations. And then we have Big Bill's, which is a 37,000 square foot open air entertainment area that has the top 22 cars garaged right there. So it is, if you're coming out to Talladega, it is definitely a must see. You need to put it on the list. The atmosphere in there is amazing. The fans are amazing. The access is amazing. Come check out Talladega Garage Experience.
That's a really special way to experience a Talladega race weekend. And we touched on a little bit when talking about the next generation car, but just what makes racing so thrilling at Talladega, in your opinion?
It's that 2, 3, sometimes 4 wide, at 200 miles an hour. So it's, the way that these grandstands are set up, the way that the track is, we have 18 degrees of banking through the tri-oval, 33 degrees of banking in the turns, big sweeping turns, and it just keeps that pack tight. And so there's no feeling like those cars coming by you, and when you're sitting in those grandstands doing 200 miles an hour, 2 and 3 wide, and just seeing, the talent that these drivers have that keep them off of one another, and they're bobbling around in there. And everybody knows if one wrong move could create that big one. So it's definitely an adrenaline rush. It's something that, TV does an unbelievable job of showing the sport. But to really, really experience it, you need to be here. You need to see it. You need to feel it. You need to smell it. It touches all of your senses. So come on out to Talladega.
It's all part of the Geico 500 weekend. And again, very convenient for our fans that are watching from Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, really all points of the state in the Southeast. You can find your way pretty easily to Talladega.
Yeah, real easy. We're between Birmingham and Atlanta, right off of I-20. Great access in, great access back out after the event's over. We make it as easy as possible on the fans. We have a midway that is just going to be jamming this year too, with lots of different activities, lots of different partners that are going to be out there. So that's also an experience. So when you come out to Talladega, it's not just coming out for the race, it's coming out to experience everything. We're the only racetrack in the NASCAR circuit that has free camping for our fans. So we do have reserve spots that, people buy, but we also have 3 free campgrounds. Inside of one of those free campgrounds on our North Park, we actually have a college section as well. So college students are free in that area. We have a $25 ticket for all college students to come out. And that includes that Saturday night concert with Cole Swindell, as well as the Sunday race too, and access into that free campground. So it's a great college program that we have out here. We get college students that come from all over the Southeast. It's pretty cool, and it ends up being just a great gathering and a lot of fun. So one of the things for this April is the Ultimate Weekend. Check out that A-Day game at Alabama, and then come on out to Talladega Superspeedway for the Saturday night concert and then the Sunday race.
It really is a perfect weekend. Before we let you go, where can fans go online or call to buy tickets?
Yeah, they can check out our website at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com, or if they prefer to talk to a representative, you can call go to Dega. So 877 go to Dega. That's the number 2, or TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
We really look forward to it. Brian, enjoying the next couple of weeks, getting ready for the Geico 500 weekend. Thank you so much for joining us. Roll Tide.
Absolutely. We look forward to seeing you out here again. And if you need anything from us, let us know. And come on out and check out Talladega. It's an experience you'll never forget.
The racing, the big one, the camping. It's all just bigger at Talladega.
One thing for sure, it's always thrilling.
NASCAR's biggest and baddest track is back. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Appreciate Brian Crichton joining us. I've been a NASCAR fan all my life. Can't wait to see racing return to Talladega coming up in a couple weeks. I've only been a Jim Jarvis fan for about 4 years with the Alabama baseball team, but we're glad he's back for his senior season. And before yesterday's practice, he and I had a chance to catch up and talk about this tremendous season he's put together and what he hopes is moving forward for this Crimson Tide baseball team. So here's a look back to our conversation with Jim Jarvis. Jim, first of all, how's everything going? Roll Tide. Thank you for joining us.
It's going really good. Going really good. Beautiful day. About to get practice in, so I'm excited.
Yeah, everything looks good at the Joe, and I'm sure you guys are glad to be at home for these next couple weeks against Mississippi State, Southern Miss with another midweek game coming up, and then the Auburn series.
Absolutely. I mean, it's always fun to play at home, not only just because, the field, how it plays, but also just because it's nice to always have the school and the fans support you. So, yeah, home games are the best.
What's made this team different than some others that you've been on here at Alabama?
I think just the depth and maturity, it's kind of hard to complain when you got 9 or forget how many exactly it is, but it's a ton of returning players from position or positionally. And then also on the mound, we have our entire weekend rotation back. We got new guys coming in that are helping us out. It's the depth at every single position is something new. For me and my entire baseball career, it's nice to be able to put someone in different positions every single game and still have success. So, and that's also just a good formula for a winning baseball team.
And of course, you're a senior on this team, and Coach Bohannon's talked about your leadership even when you were an underclassman, and now as we get into your senior year. Do you like being one of the veteran players on this roster?
I mean, it's nice to be comfortable with everything. I know how Coach Bo likes to run practice. I know how Coach Price likes to run workouts. So it's definitely better for me to be comfortable with the staff and trying to help them with navigating stuff in the locker room, how everyone's feeling. We'll usually talk before practice about the field, the clubhouse and stuff. So it's a privilege for me to be able to be in that position. And it's been a fun season so far. So.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch you at the plate. We understand you went to the MLB draft combine last year. Kind of what'd you learn during that process and any changes in your approach at the plate this season?
Yeah, I mean, when I got home last June or wherever it was for summer, because I didn't play summer ball, I just went home and literally just started reworking stuff with my swing, spent a lot of time in the cage. And then when I went to the draft combine, the biggest thing that I kind of came away with is that it really for me it is all mental. It doesn't really matter what scouts or anyone really thinks. I'm playing baseball because I like to play baseball, and wherever that takes me, I've made it to Alabama and this is a dream come true. So I'm happy with how everything's gone so far, and so I'm not going to let some outside noise really affect me and how much tension I have whenever I'm playing. I'm playing baseball because it's fun, and that's been a really, really big thing for me this year. And just bringing back the enjoyment of the game.
Then how about your hitting mechanics? Because it does look a little bit different for you this year compared to last year and the times before we've seen you, especially with 2 strikes. You're still choking up, but maybe not as dramatic as before.
Yeah. So the biggest thing for me this year was trying to just impact the ball to every part of the field. I had a lot of trouble in the past with rolling over a lot because my lead arm is my dominant arm, my front arm in my stance, which caused a lot of problems getting long and casting all this unnecessary stuff that we don't need to go into right now. But so the biggest thing for me is trying to get back to just a short, compact swing that can spray line drives throughout the field, and then also when the pitch is there, hit it for more power and try to get a couple more extra base hits. And so we did a lot of work, like I said, over summer, trying to use my legs, my whole body more and get more comfortable. And then when I got back here during the fall and preseason scrimmages, they started reworking stuff with like my grip and like where my hands were at to, this is stuff that they've learned from, like the coaching staff has learned from over the years, but also they had conversations with like other coaches to try to help me out. So it's been good.
Is it tough to stay patient when you're making those type of adjustments, because it doesn't change overnight for you? It takes a lot of time, both in the cage and the fall games, like you mentioned, even in spring practice, getting ready for the year. Were you able to stay patient with all those changes?
I mean, it was really difficult in the summer because of how big the changes I was making, or how big they were. There was a lot of times like I'd go in the cage and I'd have just a bad day of hitting. And it's super frustrating because of where I know where I want to be and I know what I'm capable of, and the results aren't there. And so it's hard, sometimes your brain starts going a million miles a minute where you're like, I don't know what's going on. I can't really figure it out right now. Everything just feels bad. But I mean, my brother's been a really big support, or a big, he's been like the stability in baseball for me for a while, just because he's had the maturity. He's played in the SEC a bunch. It's he was the one that was always in my ear telling me sometimes you just have bad days. That's not a big deal. You just got to be able to flush it. And especially when you're in the moment, it's one thing if you're kind of upset afterwards, but when you're getting the work in, when you're hitting in the cage, you have to be calm. You have to be relaxed. It's don't let the past swing affect the next swing. And that was always super helpful for me, especially now, even before games when you're trying to get your swing right and you have a bad round. It's you got to be able to just flush it and get on the next one, because if you let one bad swing in BP affect your next swing in BP, what's going to happen in the game? It's all about just staying as calm as possible and very, very present and focused in the moment.
Last few years, when you went to Sewell Thomas Stadium or anywhere on the road, you pretty much knew you're going to be playing shortstop and hitting leadoff. But this season, we've seen you hit leadoff. We've seen you hit ninth. We've seen you hit sixth, cleanup, third. I mean, you've been all over the batting order. Has that been an interesting change this year?
Yeah, I think it's been really fun. I mean, we made jokes in the locker room in the beginning of the season. It was everyone on our team was just hammering baseball. It's you'd show up to the field and you had no clue where you're going to hit. And it wasn't there was no problem with it. It was just let's see how mix and match the lineup is, because literally there was no right answer for a structure in our lineup. I mean, you had every single 1 through 9 had potential to hit a home run. They're going to walk, everyone's going to get on base. They're going to drive runs in. So that's been kind of fun and exciting about this year is I mean, I don't think I've ever hit 4-hole in my entire life. And I got to do that in SEC school. So that in itself, my career has been made. But yeah, that's been really, really fun.
Pretty cool accomplishment. Well, you're one of the seniors on this team. We talked about your leadership earlier, but right next to you playing third base has been Colby Shelton a lot this season. What have you seen from him in his freshman year as he makes that difficult transition from high school to college ball?
He is a really, really I mean, I've said maturity a lot, but he doesn't act like a freshman. I haven't seen many things get into his head or rattle him, which you would typically see from an underclassman, especially when it's their first time playing in the league, because the SEC is such a grueling schedule, and the fans are always on top of you. So I haven't really seen, there's obviously a couple of things that come up during the games where you're getting frustrated with at bats or whatever, but he's done a really, really good job of just we were talking about, staying in the moment and being present to whatever is in front of him. I rarely see him let at bats carry over. I mean, he's definitely more mature than a freshman should be, which is really impressive. And it's good for him because it brings him a lot of success in the field. So it's been fun to play with him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a lot of fun as well to watch you walk to the plate at Sewell Thomas Stadium with different walk-up songs this year. A lot of players are really particular about it and demand a certain song, but you've been letting the Alabama Baseball Instagram account and the fans decide your walk-ups to some, let's say, interesting choices so far this year. What have been some of your favorite ones to this point?
I'm being honest, the songs that have been chosen so far have been completely out of left field. I didn't think any of the ones that won would have won that particular week. It's our media guy, Alex Thompson, will come to me before the series, and I'll pick 2 songs to put on the poll, and he'll pick 2 songs to put on the poll. And usually I have a pretty good idea, I think, of what people would pick, and I've been wrong every single week. My favorites so far have been the Jellyfish Rave, the SpongeBob song. I didn't think anyone was even going to know that song, but that one, I think that got like 50% of the votes. And then California Girl is a classic. So that one, those 2 have been my favorite so far.
Yeah,
but
even
I'm sure there's going to be more in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been crazy to see. Before we let you go, what's going to be most important this weekend for the Crimson Tide against Mississippi State?
Definitely just like consistency and maintaining like a steady nature throughout the entire series. We've had 3 tough weekends. I think we've had the toughest conference schedule so far. We've got Florida at Florida, Kentucky, who's just on fire, and then Arkansas at Arkansas. And I personally think we've done a really good job playing against those teams. Like, it's one thing to look at our record and see that we're 3-6, but like, if you look game to game, like, we are right there with them. And we keep making like a tiny mistake that just ends up being the difference in the game. But like, it's still really early in the season in SEC play. And so if we can limit those mistakes going forward, I think we're going to be just fine. Like, our team is really good. But we're just like, again, just a step away from being great. Like, if we take a couple more games, or if we take a couple steps forward in the next, really today, because it's got to start this weekend. But I can see us making a really good run in the next. We got 7 weeks left of SEC play. Yeah, I mean, we're right there. Like, it's gonna be a fun rest of the season.
We'll look forward to watching it. Jim Jarvis, Crimson Tide shortstop. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll let you get to practice. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Really enjoyed visiting with Jim Jarvis, Crimson Tide shortstop. He and the Crimson Tide right now going through pregame stretch, getting ready for batting practice for what's been moved up from a 6 p.m. first pitch to 5 o'clock here at Sewell Thomas Stadium. And don't forget, we will have the booth cam available for tonight's game against Mississippi State, and possibly tomorrow, weather permitting, as we're going to be dodging raindrops really between baseball and softball all weekend long here in Tuscaloosa. Before we say goodbye on Crimson Drive, we want to take a look back to what we saw on Monday when we were joined at Baumhower's Victory Grill by Crimson Tide running back Jase McClellan. Leading up to A-Day, we'll be joined by members of the Alabama football team, and Jase was first up, talking about the running backs and his Alabama career. Again, here's a replay from Monday night's edition of Hey Coach, presented by Alpha Insurance, as we visit with Jase McClellan. Jase joins us now. Roll Tide, man. How's everything going?
Good. It's going good.
I was just telling our listeners that you're coming literally right off the practice field, right here to Baumhower's. How was the workout, first of all, this afternoon?
It was a great little practice day. Get some reps in with the team. Get better.
What is most important at this time of the season for you?
Guys getting reps. Getting positions that they haven't been in. Getting to show their skill sets. Getting the new coaches' game plans in, and just working out.
You have a new offensive coordinator in Tommy Reese this season. Have you enjoyed getting to know him over the last few weeks?
Yeah, he's been a great guy. Coming in with some great ideas for the team. Switch up some things. And just better our offense.
Better the offense, and for you, you have the same running back coach in Robert Gillespie. What's it like playing for him?
Coach Gillespie, he's one of the, I would say, one of the great running back coaches. He shows some things to us that we haven't known before. Switching up stuff and just bettering us as people.
Do you like the talent you have in that running back room right now?
Yeah, it's a lot of talent. A lot of guys that can play anywhere else in the nation. They came here and we all work together. We all better each other.
All pretty competitive, I imagine, as well.
Yeah, it is.
Well, that's certainly good to see. Well, we'll continue talking about your spring practice coming up and the journey you've had here at Alabama. But just overall, how much have you enjoyed playing for the Crimson Tide?
I love it. It's just like when we're playing back at home. It's a great football environment. Great fans, great coaches. It's great.
Have you enjoyed interacting with the fans throughout your time here in Tuscaloosa?
Yeah, I love it. Especially after the games. Coming out after the tunnel. Greeting the fans, signing jerseys. It's great.
Full Bryant-Denny Stadium, nothing like it, right?
No, it's not. Nowhere else.
Well, we look forward to having as many people as we can get for the A-Day game coming up in a few weeks as spring practice will continue. And we will, for a moment, go to the phones. Tonight's first question is brought to you by Alabama 811. You can always contact 811 before you dig to know what's below. Call 811 or visit al811.com. We'll go to the Yellowhammer Brewing Company hotline and check in with Pee Wee, who joins us from Grand Bay, Alabama. Roll Tide, Pee Wee.
Roll Tide, Roger. Jake, how are you doing, sir?
Doing good. What about you?
I'm doing well. I was just wondering, what do you think the attitude of the team has been so far at the beginning of spring practice? Has it been more focused, more attention to detail with all the new stuff? Just how is that? What's your impression of that?
That's one thing we talked about coming into spring practice, attention to detail. And one thing we are hardened on the offensive side of the ball is being physical, being up front, being mentally prepared, less penalties before snap, and just toning that stuff down, bringing up the physicality back.
Thank you for the call, Pee Wee. What are you liking about your offensive line right now? Are they just playing with the physicality you hope to see?
Yeah, those guys up front are being very physical in practice. That's something that I'm telling you that we are working on, and I love to see it.
Well, we're excited for A-Day coming up on April 22nd. Roger Hoover joined once again by Crimson Tide running back Jase McClellan, and those highlights we've heard coming out of the last couple of breaks were both from the Iron Bowl. How special has it been for you to suit up for Alabama and play against Auburn?
It's something that we talked about, like, as our coach, that's the game everybody watches. Everybody talks about, it's the memory game. No matter how the season that plays, that's the game everybody remembers, And it was just special for me to be able to play in it. Score.
Yeah, you certainly did well. And looking back at your journey to Alabama, we were talking, you grew up in Fort Worth, Texas. Were you watching the Crimson Tide a lot when you were younger?
Mostly I was watching local teams like TCU, Texas. But as I got older and I started watching Alabama, those guys, Derrian and them, I started watching.
Started having a great high school career. What put the Crimson Tide on your recruiting radar?
It's late in my recruiting. They came in and they was telling me how they wanted me. They was talking to those guys that were here, like Najee, and talking about how I fit in. And then I came on a visit, and I seen the environment, the stadium, the facilities, and I seen like it was like I was back at home. So that's what I liked about it.
What did you like about talking with Najee Harris? What was his message about why Alabama is the right spot?
He talked to me about those guys in development, make sure I become the best player I can be. I was set on.
And how much of it, too, is just the practice you guys get to have against a really good defense day in and day out, making you a better football player?
Yeah, that's that, too. Going against the best defense every day, those guys are going to get you better. It's game-type reps. So when you get to the game on Saturday, everything's easy.
From one of your Crimson Tide teammates, who's delivered the hardest hit on you?
The hardest hit, I would have to say, last spring, me and Brian Branch, we had the hardest hit. Both of us just fell out.
A lot of room to run, open field.
Yeah, a lot of real open field. It was one of the spring practice.
Very good. So it shows spring practice tough this time of the year. And for you were able to get on the field a little bit in 2020. Had that long run, first of all, against Arkansas. How special was that touchdown for you?
It was good. My family was there. They was watching. And then right before that, we had got an interception. I remember telling Brian Robinson that if I got in, I'm going to score. And then right after that, I got in, and that's what happened.
That was pretty special. And then for you in 2021, early in that season, Bryce takes over as a starting quarterback. You get in the rotation at running back, and it seemed like everything was clicking for you. What led to your good start that year?
It was just talking to the coaches, telling me, be ready, that I'm going to have a part on this team, having a role. And when I had that chance, I just wanted to capitalize on it and show my skill set and do what I could do.
Alabama was playing at such a high level, and then unfortunately you were injured in the Ole Miss game, had to rehab and work your way back, but you didn't have to do it alone. Roydale Williams was with you there every step of the way. Just what did it mean to you have a teammate going through that same injury and the same rehab process?
That's what me and Roydale, we had a strong bond because of that, being in the same training room at the same time, working on the same thing. That just made our bond stronger, it was good for us.
So the last time we saw you against Ole Miss in 2021, you were wearing the number 21, but then we saw you the next year, you're wearing the number 2. Why did the number change from 21 to 2?
It was something like single digit. I like the 2. I like the 2 in 21, so I was just like, I might as well go to 2.
Was it your high school number?
It was a number I had in Pee Wee.
Very good. Well, it certainly led to some good things, wearing number 2, including a touchdown in the state of Texas against the Texas Longhorns, an 81-yard run. You had a great hole, but it was really your speed that took over. What made that run special?
It's just being back in my home state, having that impact on the game. My family, all my family being there to see it. It was like a momentum swing for us in that game.
Some great long touchdown runs in your time with the Crimson Tide, but also you've been used well in the passing game. Do you like getting to be both a running back and then come out of the backfield and catch a lot of passes?
Yeah, it's something that specializes in my skill set, show that I can catch the ball out of the backfield work in the open field and make some yards out of it.
You got to play alongside him for the past 2 years. What makes Bryce Young so special?
I would say like his knowledge, his knowledge of the game, how he attacks the game. He thinks about things on a different level. He sees things that others might not see.
What makes him a great leader?
A leader, he's always there for us. He was always there for us, and just telling us like keep going. And he never got down. He always kept going forward and looking at the bright side of things.
Well, Bryce Young is certainly a great player for the Crimson Tide. You've got to be coached by one of the most legendary coaches in the history of college football, and Nick Saban. When you look back to your recruitment, how special was it to get to know him early in that recruitment? What's it been like to play for him?
When he came to recruit me, it was like a big shock moment, for everybody that was there. Like even my high school coach, when he came and sat down and talked to us, but getting to know him, hearing from him what he's going to do for me in recruitment. Not only recruitment, but for academics, it was great. And then coming here to play for him, it was very special. Get a good connection with him, like talking to him, and seeing not only him in a serious mode, like him playing on the side in the practice. It's been fun.
Yeah, it seems like he has a lot of fun with you guys during stretch. And good jokes at that time?
Yeah, that's when he gets little jokes in. Yeah, that's funny, yeah. That's when but during practice, he's mostly locked in, but it's all right.
Absolutely. Well, for you this season, gearing up for what is going to be another year playing for the Crimson Tide, do you feel like you're more of a leader on this team?
Yeah, I'm one of the older guys on the team, the guys on offense. I'm one of the people that's with the most experience, so yeah, I'm taking a leadership role.
Well, that's exciting to see. And for the fans that may be coming to A-Day on April 22nd, what should they look forward to from this Crimson Tide offense?
Something like getting back to the basics, running the ball, being physical up front, and being balanced, passing the ball.
Well, we can't wait to see you play. Jase McClellan, thank you so much for joining us tonight here at Baumhower's for Hey Coach, and best of luck with the rest of spring practice and A-Day. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, thank you.
That's Jase McClellan, Crimson Tide running back. We thank him for his time with us tonight here on Hey Coach. Special thank you as well to Onward Reserve, the official apparel provider of the Crimson Tide Sports Network, for all the great gear this season. Visit onwardreserve.com for all of your golf and game day apparel. Live authentically with Onward Reserve. Hey Coach is presented by Alpha Insurance. For auto, home, and life insurance, call Alpha. Back to wrap up Hey Coach in a moment. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer:
Fun to look back to last Monday on Hey Coach, presented by Alpha Insurance, with our conversation with Jase McClellan. And again, we're going to be talking with Crimson Tide football players getting ready for A-Day. And coming up this Monday night, Malachi Moore will be joining us. So we're looking forward to that conversation and everything coming up on Monday. But that's pretty far down the road in terms of our Wickles weekend schedule. It's time to take a look at our Wickles weekend update, again brought to you by Wickles Pickles. They are wickedly delicious, and we're proud they're part of the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Let's see what's coming up starting today on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Well, everything moving up a little bit for Alabama athletics due to the threat of rain here in Tuscaloosa. The softball team today taking on South Carolina at 4 o'clock. The baseball game has been moved up to 5 o'clock, so we're going to have a booth cam available for baseball, and hopefully weather permitting tomorrow as well. The softball and baseball game times, not only Friday but Saturday, could be up in the air due to the rain that will be in West Alabama, so make sure you stay tuned to the Crimson Tide Sports Network, especially to our social media accounts for the latest game time changes. And then no broadcast coming up on Easter Sunday, but as I mentioned, we'll be back with you coming up on Monday for Hey Coach from 6 to 7 p.m. as we'll have conversations not only with Malachi Moore, but also with women's tennis head coach Jenny Mines, talking about her retirement, as well as softball head coach Patrick Murphy. That is your Wickles weekend update, again brought to you by Wickles Pickles. It's going to wrap up this edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. It's been a really busy show. We've been in 2 different locations here in Tuscaloosa. We started in our studios with the headlines presented by R.J. Young, and now we're thrilled to finish out the show here at Sewell Thomas Stadium, where in just about 2 hours we'll have baseball, Alabama against Mississippi State. I want to say a huge thank you to Jim Jarvis for joining us from the Crimson Tide baseball team, as well as Brian Crichton, the track president for Talladega Superspeedway, getting us up to speed on everything coming up in 2 weeks for the Geico 500 in Talladega. So a really special show. Thanks to Ethan Carabin for putting this together, and thanks to all of you for watching it. For everybody at the Crimson Tide Sports Network, this is Roger Hoover saying so long, and let's enjoy some Crimson Tide athletics during what we hopefully will be a very winning Easter weekend coming up here in Tuscaloosa. Roll Tide, everyone.